Hey everyone, welcome to the XD Challenge. I'm your host, Elizé, and I'm super excited to be talking to you about how to create an animated Instagram story. Now, I've put the resources for this, so this design file that you're going to see me play around with, as well as other resources in the description below, so you can go ahead and create alongside with me. All right, so let's take a look at my screen here. Once you've downloaded the file, you're gonna see a few assets like this in the XD file. And over here on the left-hand side is the challenge prompt. So we are going to be creating a social media story for an e-commerce business using auto animate and export as a video. So that's the challenge prompt, but honestly, have fun, create whatever you'd like. I give a couple examples. This is my e-commerce example. And this is one I actually took from Coach, the luxury brand. I created this based on some workshops that I did with them. And I felt like it would be useful for you to see like a real life story that brands actually use. So we are going to break this one down. I also put this one, which is one I use myself. And I wanted to show you an example of how you could play around with it and make it more of your own. You do not have to do this for e-commerce. Maybe you have your own social media account and you want to post a cool story on there as well. All right, so let's break this guy down right up here. First, I'm gonna play it for you so you can see how it looks. So it has like swipe up to, shop 50% off sale, go up and down little arrow. Now, funny thing is, I just realized before this stream that things have changed from swipe up. We don't have swipe up anymore. It's click on this link. So we're just gonna adjust a little bit of that when we create this other design right here. Okay, what I'm going to start with, and what I always start with for my stories, is the end result. Like, what is the final look like? So we are going to actually start with this example right here, or this artboard right here, the swipe up to shop 50% off sale with this arrow. Okay, so we are gonna break down this artboard here. Now, if this is your first time using XD and you are like, oh my gosh, all of this is going way over my head, don't worry, we're going to drop in a link where I'm showing like the basics of how to open up an artboard and add images and text. So that'll be in the resources for you as well there. Okay, so I'm gonna make my artboard. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click A on my keyboard to open up the artboard options. On the right-hand side, see these like mobile, tablet, desktop, and we actually see social media. Not everyone knows that we have these artboard sizes. These were added not too long ago. So I am going to select the Instagram story. All right, we got this artboard. And the first thing I wanna do is lay down an image. I'm gonna show you plugins. Over here on the left-hand side are my plugins. And I already started to research clothing store under the free stock search for XD plugin. If you would like, we'll put a link as well in the comments regarding how to find plugins if it's also your first time using plugins. So over here, you can search whatever you want, and this gives you the ability to discover tons of free imagery. So I did clothing store because I'm going on with that retail theme. And first thing I want to do before I use one of my images is I like to put a shape down first that the image is going to go into. So I am going to use the rectangle tool over here on the left-hand side to bring in a big old rectangle to cover the whole artboard. Looks like kind of nothing happened, but there's a rectangle. So once I've done that, I can select this rectangle and I'm just going to now select the image I want to use. Boom, so easy. If I wanted to change it, I could do that. Just select which one I want. So that's why this plugin is so easy to like streamline your workflow. I use it all the time. Cool. And from there, what I've done in this example, or what Coach had done in this example, is they have an image laid on top of a very dark black artboard, basically. And so what I'm gonna do is change the color of my artboard. And in order to do so, I'm actually gonna select the artboard name, so Instagram story right here. And on the right-hand side in my property inspector, you're gonna see where it says appearance. So this is where I can change that. I'm gonna move this image so you can see what's happening here. So in appearance, I can change it to red, to gray, whatever I want, but I'm gonna change it to a black. Now, I'm gonna drag my image on top. And I'm going to now, this is where we're gonna get that cool experience where we can see the black come through here. And this is very easy. Make sure that image is selected. And over on the right-hand side, I'm just gonna change that appearance. I'm gonna darken it. Now, the reason we darken this image, right, is so we can actually read the text that's gonna come on top. Okay, so let's now lay down the text here. So I can take my text tool over here in my toolbar, put that on my artboard, and put swipe up to. And that's gonna be one. Oh, we decided to change it. There is no swipe up. Man, I am so 2021 right now. It's going to say click here. Click here to shop 50% off sale. Haha. So I have that, and then I'm just gonna make a copy of this and change that to shop 50% off sale. So now we have two different texts. There are two different text layers here. So if I go into my layers panel, I can see it says click here too. Shop 50% off sale, and I also have my rectangle image in the background. Now we're going to add this little arrow. I am going to again go into my plugins. I'm going to introduce you to another plugin, and this one's called Icons for Design. And this is another way to streamline getting design assets like this to get all your icons. And I just searched the word arrow to find this arrow shape here. There we are, but it's so tiny. Let's grow it. Boo, 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 boo. There we go. I'm gonna bring it down here. And I'm going to change the color over here in my property inspector to white. Cool. We basically have the full design. So if you are newer, or maybe you're newer into creating social media stories, it's just this simple actually. You can just do this design, do a couple prototype links, and boom, boom, you can get an Instagram story that's all animated in a matter of minutes. So let's break down the actual next, how we build out these artboards. This is really the simple part once we've gotten this main last artboard all set up. It's really just removing things and changing appearances. So we are going to go here and make another artboard. And in this one, if you notice, the arrow is just up above. So we're just gonna move this arrow up. I'm gonna show you how we make the prototype link from here to make sure it's all working well. Now, before I do that, I just want to say hello to everyone in the chat. We got Unicorn and Sam and Jack. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions as we go through this. If you guys are on YouTube, please make sure to join us over here on Behance so that you can join the conversation. Ask me any questions. I'm going to be here every day this week showing you some of my tips and tricks, and I'm happy to answer all of your questions as we go along. So feel free to join. So here I have made my two artboards with the arrow up, the arrow down, and I want to add a little prototyping link here. So I am going to move from design mode, which we are over here, into prototyping mode. Boom. Now we're ready to make things move. Here, what I'm going to do is make sure that the whole artboard is selected. And the way I do that is making just sure that I select this guy right here, this title of my artboard. Once that's selected, my whole artboard is selected, and I can drag my little arrow over here to this next artboard. And the trigger we are using is time. Time is going to be the trigger. So the other triggers over here on the right, maybe like tap, drag, etc., those mean that someone has to take an action, has to actually tap on the artboard, etc. But we don't want anyone to have to do anything in order for that interaction to start. So that's why time is the trigger. And what we're gonna have here is I started it with a delay at 1 second. It's gonna be, actually, let's do this at 2 seconds. I wanna show you how these triggers work, because when people first start, they're like, what is the difference between delay and duration? So we have delay here, and then we have duration down below. Like, what is the difference between that? So I wanna show you how that works. So we have delay as 2 seconds. I have the action type as auto animate, and then I have easing as ease in, ease out, and I have duration as 3 seconds. But let me show you what those mean. So 2 seconds means that it takes 2 seconds before the actual action starts. So let's see. 1, 2, and then it's starting. Okay, so that's what the delay is. The duration is how long that interaction, that animation is happening. So let's count again. So this is 1, 2, and then this is happening 1, 2, 3. That's how long. But that felt really long and uncomfortable, right? But I just want you to understand kind of the differences between those two things. I'm actually going to change this to something way shorter. The delay is going to be 0.3 and the duration is going to be 0.5. Let's see how fast that is. Boop. Yeah. Okay. Now that we've done that, we're again like all we need to do, because if you see over here, this is the same screen as this. This is the same screen as this. So I'm actually just going to repeat these two artboards again. So I'm going to go into design mode. I'm going to select my two artboards, and I'm just making basically a copy of these two artboards. So it's exactly the same. Now I'm ready to prototype these. We're going to like design and prototype to, at the same time, back and forth here. I'm going to select the full artboard and have the arrow drag over to this guy. And I don't have to do anything over on the right-hand side here because it just remembers my previous settings. So I'm gonna select this one and it's gonna drag over here. And then this one is already done. Okay, let's see how this looks. I'm gonna play that. Down, up, down. So we've got the arrows down. I almost feel like it needs like another couple, to be honest. Let's see, I'm gonna make just another 2. Let's see how that feels. Go to prototype mode, select the full artboard, drag it over, select this full artboard, drag it over. Let's play that. Down, up, down, up, down, up. So to have that little animation, it's just really helpful when we want to make something more interactive. In our stories, there's a lot of video content on there. So when we just have a straight image that has no interactivity, no animations, it can be a little bit boring. So this is how we jazz it up, how we jazz up our call to action. It's not just text that's like click here. It's like look over here. So that's why we're adding that little animation there. But now I'm going to just create, and I'll show you again just the beginning of this so we can see how this animates. So there's nothing, then there's a swipe up to, then this appears. So you can see that like nice, elegant appearance, like do. I like to make sound effects for my animations. Let me know if you guys do as well. It just makes it feel more real for me. So what I'm gonna do is take this artboard and I'm gonna make another copy of this. But the difference here is just that the arrow is gone. And it's actually not gone in XD. We are just changing the appearance of it. So it just kind of like has that nice like appearing style to it. So I'm going to, over on the right hand side where it has appearance, I'm going to bring that all the way to 0. So that is actually still on the artboard, but it's just going to slowly appear. So let's see how that works. Prototype mode, selecting my full artboard, dragging my little arrow over to this guy, still has all the same settings, and I'm going to play it. Ooh, appear. So again, if I wanted to change the duration to 2 seconds, it's gonna take 2 seconds for it to appear. See how that came in like nice and slow? It's like, oh, so you can have fun with this. Change up the delay, change up the duration. Don't just pick what I showed you, because that works maybe from my perspective and for this particular case, but you can play around with this and play around with the easing to have fun with it and see what works for you. So I'm gonna just change that back to 0.5. Hello, Julian, welcome. Okay, so we almost got all of our artboards, exciting. So I am now going to create this artboard. And so this artboard, actually, something that I want to mention that a lot of beginners will find challenging or have like is a little issue that comes up is if I'm in prototyping mode and I make a copy of this artboard, it's actually going to remember my prototyping link as well. But I don't want it to go there. I want it to go to this screen. So if you don't want it to remember that prototyping link, you just want to copy that artboard without that link attached, you have to make sure you go over here in design mode, and then you can make a copy of this artboard and there is no prototype link that's attached to it. All right, so that's kind of a little, like, that's a little lesson, because a lot of times when we first start, like that issue comes out and you're like, why do I have all these links and I don't want it to be there? So let me save you that heartache. Okay, now we have swipe up to, and it looks again like there's no shop 50% off sale, but it is there. It just has no appearance. So again, I'm gonna do that right here. I'm going to just go over on the right side and change the appearance to 0. So again, it's just gonna have that nice like, ooh, appearing type of feel. So again, I'm gonna prototype it, selecting the artboard, dragging the link over. Time is the trigger. This is all gonna stay the same, and I'm gonna play it. Boo, 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 boo. Nice. Okay, we can even add sound effects in XD, but that's gonna be another lesson that we talk about this week if you're excited about how we can add sound to our stories as well. So we're just missing one more screen here. So this one that we begin with nothing there, or so it seems. So again, I'm gonna I keep making the mistake. I'm doing it, creating that artboard in prototyping mode when I should be creating it in design mode. So I'm making that artboard, and the click here too is now over here on the right hand side. We're just bringing that down to have no appearance. And then prototyping mode, full artboard selected, dragging the link over to that artboard on the right. And now we have it. Oh, yes. Hey, feels good, doesn't it? Okay, so it was pretty simple, right? Like the design is pretty simple. We're just kind of changing the appearance and moving things around a little bit using auto animate. If this is the first time you're using auto animate, this is such a great introduction into auto animate and make you feel good learning how to use it. And I recommend doing it like I did, by designing and then prototyping like little bits at a time to make sure it feels good. And it makes sense in the flow, like, okay, this is all working right. Because when you first begin again, it can feel a little confusing with all the different links that you have to create. So just building slowly as you build the artboards is something that I recommend. Okay, now I want to show you my little Instagram story I made that I haven't posted it yet, but it's something that I've been playing around with. So I'll show you how I've used one, or I've used auto animate to create a story. So this time you see a little movement to the left, little movement again, and then it expands, and then we've got the little like arrow type of feel, except this time it is a finger pointing to it. Boom, boom. So I also put in here my email. I'm allowing you guys, if you want to play around with my story, feel free to, and I'm happy to use it and give you guys credit as well if you ever so choose. If you're like, oh, let me play around with this, feel free. Now I'm going to show you just a couple of the screens how I created that interaction, because it's a little bit different than this one where it just appears, right? This has a little bit of that movement. It moves in, the image is moving from left to right, to the right again, right? So I want to show you that interaction. First thing, I begin with that end screen. So that for me is going to be this guy. I'm just going to make a copy of this. So there's only a couple elements on here. I have an image, I have this little smiley face, and I have this group right here. So this is just text with a little, and actually this little background is not something I created. This little bubble is something that I got from Adobe stock. So I just found a ton of like shapes that I wanted to use from that. If you guys are ever interested in like, hey, I don't know how to use the vector tools that well, like I don't, feel free to go into Adobe stock, and they also have tons of free resources as well. So I am going to make another copy of this artboard, but this time I want it so that the image has a little bit of movement, right? So it's kind of moving from here over to the left. So let's just look at that. I'm going to prototype it. Full artboard is selected. Drag the little arrow over. And this time I'm going to change the delay to 1 second and the duration to 1 second as well. Okay, so the image is moving just like I want it to, from left to right. Yay! Now the other thing I want is actually I don't really want this smiley face in this image at all, but I do want this to move from left to right. So I am actually going to bring this guy over here, but guess what I'm gonna do? Because I don't want it poking out. I'm gonna change that appearance all the way to 0, so it's there, but it's gonna kind of appear and then move to the left. So let's play it. Oh, there it is. See, it moves from left to right. Woo! And then the happy face just kind of appeared. Pew! Yay! Okay. And then for the final artboard here, I'm going to bring this guy over, and on this screen, I'm going to have it start here. So you kind of see it's like moving from all the way left to the middle, a little bit more to the right. The difference is I'm going to take this, bring it in here, and I also want it to move from left to right into these artboards. So I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it in here. I'm going to drag it also all the way left and change the appearance to 0. So I'm going to prototype it now, prototype mode, drag it over here. This is all the same. Play it left to right, left to right. Okay, but now this is the final thing. Did you see how it kind of had a weird transition here? So over here, when it moved left to right, watch the pink guy right here. It's just kind of there and it's awkward. It's like, oh, it's awkwardly there. So I'm going to go back into design mode and I'm going to copy this, paste it into this artboard, and I'm going to move it to the left and take the appearance down because I want it to actually move now alongside. When the purple comes in, it's shifting out. So I'm gonna go back to the artboard 1. Let's see it, move left, hey, okay, see, designing, this could be you. So feel free to play. This is the perfect time and place because stories you really don't have to take super seriously. You can kind of play around and have fun when it's, just on your own time and having fun and seeing kind of what works and seeing if it actually creates more engagement on your Instagram, and practice and play around with adding the different links once you have your stories in. And, again, also feel free to play with my story and hit me up and let me know if you found that you could do something better than mine. Because I will say I'm not the best designer. I'm not the best story creator. So I allow you guys who are much more talented than me to go ahead and play around with it. So also one thing I want to mention is that you can add all of your creations into Discord, and the Discord channel is actually in the resources in the description below as well. And so what you can do is bring your designs into Discord, and you can get feedback from mentors and other people in the community, and also give your feedback to them as well. Now, don't forget, again, you can actually download this resource I created, and it's also in the link in the description. Otherwise, I'm excited to see you guys hopefully tomorrow for the next chapter of the XD challenge. All right, all the best. Bye, guys.